Lyka's eyelids felt so heavy. She couldn't open them immediately. She heard noises around her, familiar voices. Pinilit niyang imulat ang kanyang mga mata. Ang nag-aalalang mukha ni Edward ang una niyang nasilayan. Hinaplos nito ang pisngi niya. She could see tears in his eyes. Ang sumunod na nakita niya ay ang nag-aalalang mukha ng mga magulang nila. She automatically touched her tummy. Then, her eyes went to Edward again. The baby's fine. Pagbibigay assurance nito na tila nabasa ang nasa isip niya. Nakahinga siya ng maluwag. Lyka, anak, bakit hindi ninyo sinabi? Tanong ng mama niya. Her mother's face was full of worry. Halata rin na galing ito sa pag-iyak at ngayon ay tila maiiyak na naman ito. Tila pigil naman ang kanyang ama ang kanyang emosyon. Although, she could see anger in his eyes. Pag-aalala at panlulumo naman ang mababaka sa mga mukha ng mga biyanan niya. Why didn't you tell us, son? Tanong ng father-in-law niya. Hindi naman nakaimik si Edward. You should have told us earlier. We could have done something about it. Sabi ni Mami Vanessa. You almost had an attack a while ago. You shouldn't have worn yourself out. Anang mama niya na napahagulgol na ng tuluyan. We thought you'd been healed of that disease. Agad na hinila ng papa niya ang kanyang mama. Sumubsob ang mama niya sa balikat ng papa niya at doon na rin tuluyang napaluha ang papa niya. Did you do it on purpose, Edward? Matalim ang boses na tanong dito ng mami nito. She could see hurt in Edward's eyes, and she was instantly hurt too. She couldn't afford to see him hurt, especially if he was not the one and only to blame here. It is my entire fault, she bravely said to everyone. I did not tell Edward about the risk involved in my pregnancy. Hindi ko rin kaagad iyon nalaman. He isn't the one to blame. Nagdesisyon ako nang hindi hinihingi ang opinyon niya. Paliwanag ni Lyka. At kahit pa nalaman niya o nino man, hindi pa rin magbabago ang desisyon ko. Bubuhayin ko pa rin ang bata at mas pipiliin ko pa rin ang buhay niya kaysa sa sarili kong buhay. Kahit ano pa man ang mangyari, mahal ko ang anak ko. I would risk my own life for his life. Naiiyak na wika ni Lyka. Malalim na ang gabi ngunit hindi pa rin makatulog si Lyka. Tulad ng dati ay pinagpalipas na nila ng gabi roon ng mga magulang nila. Hindi na nila muling pinag-usapan ng tungkol sa kalagayan niya. Naunawaan na rin marahil ng mga ito kung ano ang nararamdaman niya. Edward went downstairs to get her a glass of milk. She was sitting on the lazy boy na nakaharap sa veranda. Binuksan niya ang glass panel upang matanaw niya ang kalangitan. The skies were full of stars, and starry nights were supposed to be a beautiful sight that could suit a gloomy feeling. But they were of no use to her right now. She suddenly felt she was crying. Pinapahid niya iyon nang maramdaman ang mga kamay ni Edward sa balikat niya. She pulled him closer to her. Bahagya siyang umisod at pinaupo ito sa tabi niya. Pinasanding naman siya nito sa dibdib nito. I have a good idea, babe. Anito kapagwan. What is it? Let's, think of a name of our baby. She smiled. That's a good idea. Well, if it's a baby boy, I want to name it after you. It would be Edward Montemayor Jr. He'll laugh. Really? Okay, then, if it's a girl, I will name it after you. I'm pretty sure she will be as beautiful as you are. I'm sure if he's a boy, he will be a lot like you and surely be more handsome than you. She giggled at the thought. Well, I can't argue with that. He grinned. And if she's a baby girl, she will probably be well pampered by you. She added. Lalaking mabuti ang anak natin, natitiyak ko. I'm sure you will raise him well. Siguradong bubusugin mo siya sa pagmamahal. Mamahalin mo siya ng gaya ng pagmamahal mo sa akin. She could feel him trembling. May naramdaman siyang pumatak sa kamay niya. Tumingin siya sa asawa niya at kita niya ang pagtatago ng iyak nito sa mga ngiti ni Edward. You will always be around. We will nurture him together. We will see him grow up. We will take care of him together. She was crying now. Makikita natin siyang lumaki, Lyka. And someday, he will also meet someone who would love him as well. Mariing hinagka nito ang kamay niya. Tama ka, babe. Someone like you. And someone like you too. Dugtong niya. He kissed her forehead. Happy anniversary, babe. Maang na napatingin sa Lyka kay Edward. You remember? Oo naman. May kinuha ito sa bulsa nito. It was a platinum ring. She was stunned. Simple lang naman iyon at natutumpukan ng isang brilyante sa gitna. She fell in love with it instantly. Hinugot nito ang gold ring sa daliri niya at ipinatong sa kung saan. Ipinalit nito roon ang hawak nitong singsing. I have mine too. Iniangat ni Edward ang kaliwang kamay upang ipakita sa kanya ang kaparehang singsing. Napakaganda, Edward! Sambit niya. I'm glad you like it. That other ring isn't yours. I did not choose that, nor did you. This ring, on the other hand, I give it to you as a sign of my love. Happy 4th anniversary, Edward! Dinampian siya nito ng halik sa mga labi niya. It was full of emotion and love he had for her. We will grow old together. We will celebrate our 5th anniversary, 10th, 25th, 50th. We will see our child grow up, marry, and have kids. He will give us a lots of grandchildren. Yes, natatawang sang-ayon na Lyka. They were crying and laughing at the same time, kissing and hugging and listening to each other's heartbeat. Her heart swelled with love for this man. Her heart ached for him all the more. Hindi niya akalain na darating ang ganoong sandali. Whatever happens, even if my heart stops beating, it will not stop from loving you. Nakahiga sa stretcher si Lyka na itinutulak ng mga nurse. Edward held her hand ever so tightly. She didn't want to let go of his hand. Malakas siya kapag hawak niya iyon. Edward, don't let go of my hand. Nahihirapang pakiusap niya sa asawa. I won't, babe. I won't. She saw fear and worry in his eyes. This was the moment of truth. There were only two options. She would either make it out alive or not. She wasn't ready to leave Edward yet. I love you, Edward. I love you too, Lyka. Naiiyak na saad nito. Pagbukas ng operating room ay agad na hinarang si Edward ng isang nurse. Sorry, sir. Pero hanggang dito na lang po kayo. Hindi kayo pwede sa loob. Nakita niya ang panlulumo sa mukha ng asawa hanggang sa unti-unting sumara ang pinto ng OR. She was going to have her baby by a cesarean section because of her heart condition. Naramdaman niya ang unti-unti niyang pagkaramdam ng antok dahil sa ginawa ng nurse sa kanya, hanggang sa tuluyan na siyang napapikit. Edward's image was very clear in her mind. She could imagine his handsome face smiling at her. It gave her more than enough courage to survive this bago siya tuluyang makatulog. Edward used all his might to stop himself from crying. He had to be strong for Lyka and their baby. He didn't pray often or call to God. Actually, he really didn't pray at all, but at that very moment, he couldn't really rely on anything or anyone but God. He felt someone touching his back. It was his mother. Kasama nito ang kanyang ama at ang in-laws niya. Hindi na niya nakayanan pang nadaramang emosyon. Tila batang umiyak siya sa mga bisig nito. Mommy, I can't live without her. I love her so much. Napahagulgol na siya sa sobrang takot at lungkot na nadarama. I won't be able to forgive myself if something happens to her. Hindi ako mapabuhay nang wala siya. Shh. Nothing will happen to Lyka. She will be safe. Sila ng anak ninyo. They patiently and worriedly waited outside the OR. Pagkalipas ng ilang oras, sabay-sabay na napatayo sila nang lumabas doon si Doktora Mercado. Siya ang unang lumapit dito. He swallowed the lump in his throat before he asked her about his wife and child. Dr. Mercado's answer almost made him faint. 5 months later. Edward walked slowly, as if he were walking on clouds. He carried 2 bouquets of white roses. He was at the Memorial Park. Nasa bayan iyon ng San Andres. He had traveled all the way from San Miguel to visit the graves of his loved ones. He felt a sudden sense of sadness as he got closer to the graves. Nang marating niya ang mga iyon, saglit na tinitigan niya ang 2 puntod. Kapag ay inilapag sa ibabaw niyon ang mga bouquet ng bulaklak na dala niya. Nag-alay muna siya ng munting panalangin bago siya sumalampak ng upo sa damuhan. Napansin niyang marami ng damong tumubo sa kaliwang puntod kaya isa-isa niyang binunot ang mga iyon. When he was finished, he smiled and realized that he had done that for the first time. You know what? I should have been angry with both of you, but I just can't. Lalo na sa'yo. He faced the grave on the left. You see? Nagbubunot na ako ng damo ngayon. Tiyak na kung buhay ka lang, pagtatawanan mo ako. I know this is so unlike me. He laughed softly. This is all your fault, but I want to thank you just the same. When you died, a part of me died too. I loved you then, but now I'm finally setting you free. Huminga siya ng malalim. Nagbago ako mula nang mawala ka. Naging mas mabuting tao ako ngayon. I've learned so many things. I've learned how to listen. I've learned how to care. I've learned how to worry. How to be sad. How to exist. And most of all, I've learned how to love truly with all that I have. Ngumiti si Edward. Thank you for being part of my life. At huwag kayong mag-alala. Napatawad ko na kayong 2. He smiled again. Goodbye to both of you. May mabining hanging humaplos sa kanyang muka bago siya tuluyang tumalikod sa mga puntod ni na Margaret at Uncle Rigor. Muli siyang napangiti. Habang naglalakad siya palabas ng sementeryo, umiihip ang malamig na hangin na tila nagbabadya ng kaginhawahan. Tumingala siya sa kalangitan. The sky was so clear and blue. He had never seen the sky look as good as this. Maluwag na ang pakiramdam niya dahil sa giniwang pagpapatawad niya sa dating kasintahan at tiyuhin. There was only one reason for that. Everything he had and everything he was right now, he owed it to one person, the one who taught him everything about the word love. Finally, he could go on with his life. He could now be fully happy for the rest of his life. Binilisan na niya ang paglakad. Edward? Dagling hinayon niya nang tingin ang tumawag sa kanya. Ang laki ng pagkakangiti niya. Tinakbo na niya ang ilang nalalabing distansya sa pagitan nila. Lyka was smiling sweetly at him. Yes, she was alive. And so was their baby. Nalagpasan ng mga ito ang panganib noong nanganak ito. Totoong nagmimilagro ang Diyos. Kung may salita lamang nahihigit pa sa love, iyon na marahil ang nararamdaman niya para dito. Eksaktong pagtapat niya sa asawa ay agad na hinapit niya ito sa baywang at iniangat ito sa lupa. He wanted to hug her all the time. He wanted to be sure that this was not just part of a beautiful dream. He wanted to feel her to know that she was real, that she was really with him. Tumili naman si Lyka. Edward, ano ka ba? Ibaba mo ko. Nakakahiya, baka may nakakakita sa atin. So what? They should be envious because I'm with the most beautiful woman in the world. Edward? She giggled. She eventually stopped complaining instead. Malaya siya nitong niyakap. I love you, Edward. Buong puso na saad ni Lyka. He grinned and shouted in his answer. I love you, Lyka Montemayor. Mahal na mahal kita, babe. He slowly released her and searched her face as if he was memorizing every inch of it. Then, he slowly kissed her A kiss that promised a happy life with him. They kissed passionately and thoroughly as if there was no tomorrow. He slowly ended the kiss and looked straight into her eyes. Mahal na mahal kita. Ipinadala ka sa akin ng taas at hindi kita pakakawalan. And I promise to protect you. You and our son are the most beautiful things that ever happened to me. And thank you sa pagtanggap sa akin sa pagpapatawad sa lahat ng masasakit na ginawa ko. Pangako ko sa'yo na gagawin ko ang lahat para paligayahin kayo ng anak natin. Buong pagmamahal na wika ni Edward. Tumingkayad naman si Lyka at tinalikan sa labi ang asawa. Mahal na mahal din kita, Edward. At kahit kailan, hindi kita susukuan. Andito lang ako sa tabi mo para sa inyo ng anak natin. Speaking of our son, I'm sure he's enjoying his grandfather and grandmother's company. Tumango si Edward bilang pagsang-ayon. Kapag Juan ay inakbayan niya ito at inakay papunta sa sasakyan nila. Nakasandig ang ulo nito sa dibdib niya habang naglalakad sila. Pagdating nila sa kotse nila ay hinawakan niya ito sa mga kamay. Babe, I will give you everything you wish for. I'm not God or a genie but I will give you what you want as long as it's within my power. Aniya rito. Really? Yes? Do you have any wishes? She stared at him with a dreamy look in her eyes. Babe, what's your wish? He asked her again. Masaya ka ba ngayon? Muling tanong ni Lyka. Hindi ko maipaliwanag kung gaano ako kasaya ngayon, babe. Ngumiti si Lyka. Then, my wish just came true. Ang kaligayahan mo ang kabuuan ng mga pangarap ko. Makita ko lang na masaya ka ay sobrang saya ko na, Edward. Hindi naman maiwasan ni Edward ang mapaiyak. Napakaswerte niya sa kanyang asawa. Lalo na at alam niyang magiging mabuti itong ino sa kanilang anak. Makalipas pa ang ilang buwan ay isa muling engrandeng kasal ang ginanap sa bagitan ni na Edward at Lyka. Ngayon ay masasabing masaya at buo na silang haharap sa taas na magkasama. Napakasaya ng kanilang magulang sapagkat natupad ang gusto ng mga ito na magkatuluyan ang mga anak nila. Lalo na si Edward. Napakasaya niya dahil kapiling niya ang kanyang mag-ina. Wala na siyang mahihiling pa dahil masaya at kumpleto na ang buhay niya. Alam niyang hindi siya perpektong asawa pero gagawin niya ang lahat para mapaligaya lamang ang asawa niyang si Lyka at anak nilang si Edward Jr. Pupunuin niya ng pagmamahal ang bawat sandali ng buhay na magkakasama sila. Napakahiwaga talaga ng buhay, no? Hindi man tayo perpektong tao, may mga bagay man tayong nagagawa. Nakakasakit man tayo ng damdamin ng iba pero andyan pa din ang mabubuting tao na magtuturo sa mga kamalian natin, ang magpaparamdam sa atin ng wagas na pagmamahal. Gaya ng kwento ni Lyka at Edward, hindi man maayos ang simula ng pagsasama nila bilang mag-asawa pero sa huli, pag-ibig pa din ang nagbuklod sa kanila. Kasama ng anak nila na alam nilang magiging sentro ng kanilang wagas na pagmamahalan. At dito na po nagtatapos ang ating kwento.